Well, hello there and welcome to a very busy Saturday here for RaceSpot TV. If you're just joining us, it's been a busy weekend, start to the weekend thus far. Sunday, though, is a little bit calmer, but of course we kicked off all the action with the VRS iRacing GT World Championship Series, and now we basically have two back-to-back streams. Myself, Randy Chinnick, I'll be bringing you the Pro Mazda Championship special presentation here from Interlagos, while Justin Prince and Paul Smith, they're going to bring you the V8 Super Truck. So, we've been doing the Pro Mazdas here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live for several weeks. One of the things that they have opted to do is a bit of a special event here. So this is actually not technically part of the official series. This is actually put on and hosted through the community, so we get a fantastic little one-off event. 18 laps around the fantastic Interlagos circuit, and there will be a pit stop required, which for the Star Mazda cars is somewhat unique. Qualifying is currently underway, and as the beat gets ready to drop, we're going to check in with that. So 7 minutes currently left here in qualifying, and let's take a look at some of the cars that are currently out there on track. Alessandro Roscello in that number 2 machine, he's working himself through the sort of infield section of the racetrack right now, headed down towards that second hairpin and beginning the run towards Youngsao, which is the final corner on track right now. As you can hear, there are more cars on track as well, multiple cars hitting it for qualifying. Through this final corner goes the 2 car, and he's going to begin the run towards a start finish, and let's see if it's going to be a good time for him. First few laps have begun clicking in for most drivers. We'll bring that up on the left hand side of your screen, so you can see the laps have already been done. Right now it's Ann Medema with a 30.281 who currently tops the timing sheets. Alessandro, he's going to come through at the end of his first lap, and he must have illegitimized that lap at some point because it's not going to count for him whatsoever. Probably got a 1X or something along the way, so unfortunately for him, going to be on the back foot. Let's check in with Jerome Hag. He's your quickest driver in practice. He went to a 29.468, 0.6 of a second quicker than anybody else. Let's see what he can do as he heads down the front straightaway at the end of his first qualifying lap. Going to come across start finish, and he's going to a lap time of 29.865, so not quite as quick what we saw in practice from him, but still about 3-4 tenths quicker than any lap anyone else has done thus far. So Jerome Hag in that number 11 is going to be very, very happy with that as he works himself through Curva de Sol and on the run towards the Interlagos down this Reta Aposta, this long back straightaway. See him rocking that Angry Birds helmet. Hard on the brakes, he's going to go in towards turn 4. Let's check in with some other drivers. This is Robert Bernebu. See, he's going to run himself down towards this front straightaway. That's number 19. He's going to come across the timing beam. He will go 11th quickest. That's a 31.153 for that driver. So mid-pack for him. He's going to jump around. Craig Ridley, the end of his second lap. 30.442, 7th quickest for his first lap. Let's see if the second lap will be an improvement as he works down this long front straightaway once again. Not really shortening the run to start finish. That's going to be, actually, no, I take that back. This is an out lap for this driver. So with that, let's actually bring up the lap time deltas. See what it is. You see it's a 30.443 for his first fast lap. Well, his only hot lap currently. A couple other drivers have, of course, gotten their way up quick into this session. Gabriel Perez, less than half a second off that pole time. No one else currently down into those 29s, though. First delta is decent from Craig Ridley at a 23.135. He's going to work himself up towards this double right-hander at Ferradura. Turn 6 and 7. Such a fast double right-hander uphill. Now hard on the brakes for him. Rutger Hagman, and he got a little bit closer down to Jerome Hag, 30.114, but still not quite down in those 29s like anyone else has been. Still another decent split for Craig Ridley. Now through the right-hander and beginning the run of the final sector of the lap, down this long left-hander up towards Youngsao. This is one of the most critical corners on the circuit. Need to get this right to get the run down this long front straightaway correct. Seems to have gotten it decently right. And now let's head down this long front straightaway here in Brazil. Ideally, for the quickest lap time, you want to try to keep the car pinned to the left-hand side as much as you can. It kind of helps you straighten it out and keep a nice short run. You see Craig is sort of doing that, but sort of makes the run to start-finish a little bit diagonal. He does improve by a little bit, goes 5th quickest, so well done by Craig Ridley. He's going to have one more potential qualifying lap to use, but more often than not, it's the first one that's quickest. John Lott's currently out on track right now. He did a 39.2 his last trip around the racetrack, which is not particularly quick. He was slowest in practice, but let's see if maybe he can do one better. Heads down now towards this front straightaway. Let's see if he's going to improve on this lap. Going to be the end of an out lap actually as well, so he's going to do his second lap. A little bit of damage on the left side of that front wing, on the left front, right side of your screens, but he's still going to be pushing on, even though the downforce and the drag might be somewhat held up. Rutger Hegman, actually goes down into the 29. He does a 9.45, but Jerome Hag, he steps up the mark even more so, goes to a 29.550. And now Marcin Arnoldus, he comes in, he fires out a 29.932. So 3 drivers in the 29s, 2 of them within about 100th of one another, and one of them about 0.4 of a second up the road. These little Pro Mazda cars, they certainly do put on a show. Still raced in real life, of course. They're currently at Barber Motorsports Park this weekend, running with the IndyCar Series as John Locke gets a big bit of oversteer there through that right-hander at Bico de Pato, and that's, I think, pretty much going to end his lap, and that's a 1X, so that lap will not count for sure. Number 77 car, Gabriel Perez, he's done on his hot laps. Rutger Hegman could go a little bit quicker. He's currently 3rd quickest, and he's on his final qualifying lap right now. 4 laps allotted for all the drivers in this 10-minute session. Let's see if he can maybe improve down this left-hander and towards that hairpin. Now in towards the second of the right-hand hairpins on the lap. Very nicely done. Uses a lot of curb. Very nice. Keeps it tidy. Manages the oversteer well on the exit. Now down this long left-hander through Mugello and then up to Young Sal. Like I said, the final corner pretty much on the track. There's technically 3 more corners. This little left-hand kink is technically turn 13. Then you got Subida those boxes. Just turn 14, and then the last corner, turn 15 right here. Let's see. See, he's doing a good job keeping it much more over to the left-hand side of the circuit. This is typically what you want to do in qualifying. And he's going to go to a 9.68, so it will not be improvement there for Rutger, but still a good lap. Martin Arnoldus, he also, I think, improved even more so going to that 9. Nope, he always had that 9.32. What do I know? But as qualifying begins to count down, I believe we're out of drivers. No, there's one more driver that can potentially go quick. Donald Poole is headed down the front straightaway, and he timed this well. The end of his 4th lap, and I think he's just going to get to start and finish. 31.373 was his best lap up to this point. That puts him 17th. He should just beat the timer in terms of getting to the start-finish line. 4, 3, 2, 1, and he will come across the stripe, and I'm very well happy that he did so. Beat his time by 0.3 of a second. So well done by him. And let's take a quick look at your starting grid here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. So on the pole, it's Jerome Hag with Marcin Arnoldus on that second outside of that front row. Rutger Hegman, Drone Raidmaker round out row number 2. Moving backwards, Andy Medina, Craig Ridley with Gabriel Perez and Jerome Paulberg. Then Alessandro Rosatello and Manning Grinnan round out your top 10. Going back further, like the Donald Poole, Jim Lakey, Fabio Berchtold, and Edwin Vandenberg. All notable drivers to keep an eye on over the course of this event. As we continue to work our way through, Ryan Cullen, John Lott going to be rounding out the tail end of this field as the drivers get themselves set on the grid. And we get ready to go racing here for the Pro Mazda special event here in week number 6. See drivers starting to get themselves set, and we're getting ready to go green flag racing on streaming live on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. We thank you for taking your Saturday with us, joining some sim racing action here, and this is going to be a fantastic show, I think, for these little Pro Mazda cars. Still just waiting for the grid to get themselves set, seeing cars popping into existence on that front straightaway. You can see the logo there in the top right corner. Pro Mazda car in real life. Very much a relevant part of the Mazda road to Indy. Basically, any IndyCar driver today likely came up through that sort of roster. The likes of Formula 2000, Pro Mazda, then Indy Lights. Then, of course, you end up with the big cars at Indianapolis. Cars are on the grid. Lights are getting set. And we are green in the Pro Mazdas at Interlagos. Thank you once again for tuning in, and say good jump for most of your race leaders. Actually, I'm going to be your second place runner. Martin Arnoldis, he's going to have the advantage in towards turn one. Ducks down to the inside through the Senna S for the first time, and he's going to take the race lead through turn two and the Curva de Sol. So already a change for your race lead as they head down this back straightaway. Already for the first time, he's going to defend the inside. Going to try to get rid of that slipstream, and I believe we have all runners clean through the first couple of corners in towards turns 4 and 5 for the first time. As these guys are going to begin the run towards Ferradura, and already you can see Jerome Hag trying to work on that current race leader of Arnoldis. They're going to be side by side in towards Ferradura. Number 11 has to do it the long way around though. Martin does a good job defending that right-hand side, and it's particularly this corner where you want the right side of the track, but Jerome is going to keep the nose under there, and that's very good because this is the optimal line. Do that hairpin because of that. 2 changes for the race lead on this opening lap. Jerome Hag lost it on the start, and he takes it back as they work themselves through the second half of the lap, just looking up and down our field, making sure there's no incidents that we've seen to have missed, and we have not. So the fight for the race lead is what we're going to watch. Is Martin Arnoldis. He's going to have an interesting run down this front straightaway with all sorts of slipstream going in towards turn number 1. That's right on board here for a little bit. You see him working that slipstream is Martin. They're going to come across the start-finish line for the first of 18 laps here. Not quite close enough to make a move in towards turn 1 was Martin, but you know he's going to be doing his hardest to reel in that gap through the Senna S and Curva de Sol for the second time. Still trying to stay tucked in behind that slipstream. Of course, the racing line is down there to the inside as well. Jerome's likely going to be looking to break that slipstream any way he can, but look at the way that Martin can reel him in. Doesn't quite get there though. So it's going to be off onto the brakes, and this is going to allow Martin an opportunity to potential open that lead back up. You see side by side fighting behind. Who's that actually? That is, I believe, Craig Ridley and Jerome Raidmaker. If they work themselves through Ferradura, get themselves back single file here. Through this right-hand hairpin, sort of the first of 3. It's sort of a tight little sector to this new complex at Interlagos. Well, new relative to a wide variety of the circuit. But now through this third and penultimate hairpin, and the run down towards Young South. See everyone just sort of nicely single file. Drivers are fanning out relatively calmly here. A little bit of fighting back here though. That's Fabio Berchtold and I believe Ryan Colin. No, I take that back. It's John Lott and Fabio Berchtold. They're pretty close to one another. A little bit wide there. Off onto the racetrack goes Berchtold. No, that was Ryan Cullen. Big incident here. Gonna get a replay of this coming off of Young Sal. Just a small little mistake here for that driver in the black car of John Lott is who that was who went off. And it's one of those mistakes that's easy to make. You get off on the right-hand side, high center the car on that curb. Then when that happens, you're often just a passenger. I've been in GT cars and had that sort of spin happen. I've seen it happen as well in these single-seaters. See, he just gets way out onto the grass, and, well, unfortunately for those drivers in the 10 in that green car, nowhere they could ever go. So an unfortunate little mistake there. We're going to go back to live pictures and recheck in with the fight for your race lead. And it's Jerome Hag who has an 0.8 of a second advantage. So Martin Arnold is still doing his best to try to reel that gap down and in, but not quite close enough. You can see it through the infield sector. Jerome Hag's been able to stretch out about 3.5 of a second already. So for Arnold, this needs to find some sort of pace through the middle part of this lap to really have any hope, because the slipstream isn't doing enough. And to be honest, I think he's going to be free of that slipstream this time down the front straightaway. It's that TNT Racing number 83 car. He's going to pick up the throttle and head down this front straightaway, not having any of that draft. which means that Rutger Hegman, who's running in that third spot, that green and black car you see in the middle of your screen, he might have an opportunity down here in towards turn 1 or turn 4. Don't think he's going to be close enough, though. In towards this first sector on the racetrack. Senna S, Curva de Sol. Certainly not. They're going to remain single file in towards turn 1 for now. See, one driver is going to come out of the pits and sort of filter right in with your race leaders. It's pretty much a long train of cars out here out in front. As you see those drivers snaking all the way down that sort of second straightaway in towards turn number 4. Trying to break the slipstream, dealing with that lap traffic just a little bit. You see fighting picking up now. That's Ann Medina and Jordan Raidmaker once again. Ann in that orange and blue machine. And oh, what a move from Raidmaker, potentially down the inside at this hairpin. Got the optimal line. Can they make it stick though? That number 30, no, but that was a very good move, very aggressive move. Look for him to potentially throw another one as this race goes on. The 30's going to take another peek down the inside, but not quite close enough. I don't think Ann is going to nearly make that door quite that open again. That may have been sort of a one-time opportunity for Jer Owen. Now through that left-hand kink and on towards this front straightaway for the 4th of 18 laps. Once again, a pit stop is required in this race. So look for drivers to potentially do some things on pit strategy. I'll be honest, I've not seen very many pit stops in the Star Mazda in my years on iRacing, well, in the Pro Mazda, as it is more commonly known as today. So I'm not really sure what to expect in terms of pit strategy as the drivers work themselves through the first couple sectors, first couple corners once again. And still everyone sort of fanning themselves out. Still very tightly contested up and down this field, I must say. Gaps really haven't grown or shrunk at all. Sort of just even out. You see number 7 car in the background. That's Dave Walsh. He's making a move on the 19. That's Robert Bernabout. As through that left-hander, he's going to be able to make that stick. Well done by the number 7 of Dave Walsh, picking up that position. Move him up into the 10th spot after that one. Out in front, it's still Jerome Hag, who's commanded pretty much this entire race thus far through these first 5 laps. Saw him relinquish the lead on the opening lap, but after that, it's all been him after he got it back from that number 83 who you're currently looking at right now. Not quite close enough, though, as Rutger Hegman been unable to reel in that second place runner. Gabriel Perez quietly been running in that 3rd spot, or 4th spot, excuse me. Not really talked about him very much. And Ann Medina saw this driver make that little bit of a mistake and open the door for the number 30, but will this other mistake potentially pan out? Because now Jeroen is right on that rear wing and is going to be using the slipstream here down towards turn 1. You see on the right-hand side, left-hand side of your screen, that's Ann. As Jeroen is going to have a good run down towards start-finish. Side by side, and Ann's going to fight back on the left-hand side, has the optimal line. And well, Jeroen not nearly aggressive enough to make that move. They're all going to be sprinting through this first sector pretty much in the order they came in. Down now, this second stretch in towards corner number 4. Will that 30 have an opportunity? Going to use the slipstream and pull out alongside. Going to have to be a long way around, but you can make these sort of moves in towards turn 4. Going to hold it around the outside. Maybe a little bit of a wiggle and pushes wide. That means Ann's going to be able to hold on to the position. Good defensive driving there from the driver, the number 16, Ann Medina. Done very well positioning their car. That's made it very difficult for everyone. Right now, most drivers are currently still on the track. We have 2 cars that are 1 lap down. That's Donald Pohl and Ryan Cullen. Let's take a quick look at any movers in this race already. I know it's still early, but see through your top 15 or so. That driver running in the 4th spot, that's Gabriel Perez. He's up 3 positions. Bring up the full names, make things a little bit easier. As there we go, Gabriel Perez up 3 positions. So Erwin Vandenberg done a good job to go up 3 positions. No real big losers. Christopher Gray is down 15. I think that's not technically correct. Not sure what happened there. Because he definitely did not start in that 1st or 2nd position. So maybe our graphic is sort of having a bit of a hiccup, but Now that number 30, though, of Jerome Raidmaker is going to have another opportunity in towards turn 1. I think he could have gone down to the inside. Didn't quite do it, though. And around the outside, he's going to try to make it stick. A little bit more aggressive this time through the second part of the center S, and he's going to have that spot done. Back to the inside goes and as down through the inside of Curva de Sol. Going to hold on to it and stick it down there for now. That Simucube car doing a very stout opportunity, or doing a very stout job, excuse me, to hold on to that position, and very well done. That was an aggressive move to slot it back down to the inside at turn 3, and it paid off in dividends. As I hear a car idling somewhere. Oh, this is pit stop starting. Ryan Cullen's on pit road. He's a lap down. Alessandro, so pit stop here from the number 2, so we might see pit stop starting here a little bit early. We're going to check back in to this fight, which is now turning into a bit of a 4-car train. As you got Ann Medema, Jerome Raidmaker, Craig Ridley, Jerome Paulberg all in the mix in this one. And not much further back, you have Manning Grinnan. So relatively close fight up and down your field right now as they're approaching the halfway point of this race. And now the question has to be, is when do you start thinking about coming down pit road? Taking a look at the tires and the lap times, the first couple laps were actually really quick for the, actually no, hold on. Lap time drop off is not that severe, but it is somewhat noticeable. Fastest lap for most drivers coming in the first couple corners. That is a car on pit road. That's going to be Gabriel Perez. He's pitting right now from the 3rd position. So Gabe Perez hits pit road. Jerome Raidmaker, a couple others as well. I think Greg Ridley's on the pit lane. So 4 drivers opting to hit pit road here. So maybe the short stint and the undercut being the way you want to go. They're going to get jacked up, and they should be leaving in the order they came in on. Actually, no one's taking tires, it looks like. I haven't seen those cars jacked up. It's going to be a fuel only. And that's a bit of an interesting one in my opinion. Because I was going to say, you would surely want to take tires, but if all you're going to be taking on is fuel, there's really no point in coming down and doing a fuel-only pit stop. Because you're not going to have new rubber. All you're going to do is add weight to the car. It's likely you'll just be slower with it. I believe we had a little half spin here. Let's get a replay of this. This would have been John Lott once again. This is a double right-hander at Ferradura. It came a little bit later after this, down through, sort of through this infield section of the track. Quick right, a little bit wide there. To the left, and I think it may have been the second right-hander. Keep in mind, we saw a big incident with this car in the opening couple of laps, so likely a bit of damage. And let's see, through this, and yeah, big slide. Actually did a good job to hold on to that. That was well done by John, but cheeky little drift coming in there, wheeling it. Let's see, your race leaders are going to stay out. Jerome Hag retains the race lead. Rutger Heckman in second. Gabriel Perez, see where he is going to slot into on this opening lap. Or on this 9th lap, excuse me, his out lap, I should say. So down towards start finish. And it is going to be he's running in the 9th position right now. Jerome Raidmaker not very far behind. Actually, importantly, he jumped Martin Arnoldis. So this is a driver we saw running up in 2nd spot for the majority of this race, and he has now lost that spot to Gabriel Perez. So they have swapped positions out there on the racetrack. I think that likely happened during the outlap. But now we need to keep an eye on that to see when other drivers opt to come down pit road. This is your race leader, Jerome Hag, 3 seconds out in front of 2nd place, Rutger Hegman. Not exactly sure where people will cycle in. Actually, let's go back and take a look at the pit stop time. So Gabriel Perez, if we take a quick peek, 7-second pit stop. He was on pit road for 23.5 seconds. So we look back at Martin, well, 7.5 second stop, but he was on pit road for an extra second. So that's likely how we lost that position to that driver in front of him. So unfortunate, but still definitely in it, especially with the long slipstream sections you have here at Brazil. Let's see if your race leader, does he opt to hit pit road? I thought he might have with the pit entry, but no, he's not. Rutger Hegman, he's going to look to stay at, no, he's not. He's actually going to hit pit lane now. So your 2nd place runner of Rutger Hegman, we're going to have to see where he opts to come down pit road, or where he comes out of pit road, excuse me. A couple other drivers are hitting the lane as well. You got Dronen Perelberg and Robert Birnbaugh. The driver's going to hit the lane here as trying to get with Rutger Hegman. Let's see what the pit stop time is going to be. Seen about 7 to 7.5 seconds for these guys when they hit pit road, and this is a longer stop for this number 9 car. 10 seconds, 11 seconds. That's a long stop for the Benelux driver. I think that's going to be a little mistake for him. And he's definitely going to come out. In fact, that's the fight right there between Martin and Gabriel. He should have been in with this scrap, but instead he's not going to be. As you can see, Martin's going to make something of this down this straightaway. Going to pull out to driver's right. Going to have to do it the long way around. And actually, the 77 made it easier, made it really easy. So Gabriel Perez going to come or lose that spot going into turn 4, and Rucker Hegman is going to be about a second and a half back from where he would have been. So 18 laps gone by relatively quickly here. And there's still close fights up and down the field. Going to recheck in with Jerome Hag as he cycles himself off the final sequence of corners. See a car slow in front of him. That's the number 10 machine, Ryan Colin, who's getting ready to go a second lap down, but I believe he has already pit, so he should be able to maintain lead lap status here. As the race leader, Jerome Hag, he's going to cycle past start finish once again. In towards turn 1, he's going to go. As Rucker Hegman is going to fall like a stone down the order. See where exactly he is. Currently it's Manning Grinnan we see take over that second spot. But his pit stops have begun to cycle themselves through. It's going to be not quite as harsh of a loss. Erwin Vandenberg also pits. So Rucker Hegman currently 6th. Still 2 drivers I think that he should be able to beat out. Look at this gaggle of cars in your mid-pack. Who is this? We got Craig Ridley, Robert Brennebaugh, Christopher Gray, and Medema, Henry Robert. A lot of drivers here in this sort of thick gaggle. Taking a quick peek at Henry as he fights with Perlberg in that white and black with lime green trim car. This looks like a Phoenix Motorsports machine, to be honest, with those colors. Not gonna lie, I thought that's what it was when I first saw it out on the racetrack when I joined the session, but out in front of him, things are still looking relatively calm and cool. Robert and Craig are still having a nice grab. Robert was pretty much looking for any way by he could up towards Ferradura, and spoiler alert, there's not too many ways by through that sequence of corners. As they head down a little bit wide there for Craig Ridley. I think he's going to try to keep it pinned down to the inside. Going to do a good job holding on to that. Then in towards this right-hander at Bico de Bato. Now down at Mugello and the run towards Young Sal. So let's see if Robert can pick up the slipstream down this long front straightaway. It's tucked in behind that rear wing very nicely. Doesn't do such a good job through that little left-hand kink, but immediately gets back into the slipstream. Will he have a go of it here down this front straightaway? He's got the run. Gonna have to do it the long way around. He peeks up to the outside and in towards turn 1. Will he be able to make this stick? He'll have to do it around the outside. People typically like that inside groove through turn 1, but you can make him pass the stick on the outside, but Robert will be unable to do so thus far. We're gonna recheck in with a fight out in front. This is Martin and Gabriel Perez. They're continuing to fight wheel and wheel. As the 83 machine is going to hold on to that spot, Rucker Hegman, because of this fighting as well, has rechecked in on this battle. Let's get a little bit more Race Spot TV onboards. As you can see, Rucker Hegman sitting right next to the left side of his head. Up Ferradura, in towards turn 8, in towards turn 9, the Pinarino. As you can tell, my Portuguese is not very good, not very fluent whatsoever. Then in towards Bico de Bato. Need to probably bully Hugo Luiz into teaching me a little bit of Portuguese, but that'd be too difficult. Let's check in with Jerome Hag. Wanted to see if he was going to hit pit road, and he obviously has not, so he's saving that to the very last moment of this motor race. As these guys are going to go back down towards turn 1. We're going to ride on board actually with Gabriel Perez, as he's going to look set to make this move. Pulled out of the slipstream pretty early there. Actually, was that a car going down pit road? No, it wasn't. It's the number 83 car going to defend on the inside, and Gabriel sort of just nicely letting Martin sit out there right now as we approach the last handful of laps of this motor race. I think you need to get a lot more aggressive with only 6 laps left in a race like this. Is down this long Reto Oposta part of the racetrack. They've talked about changing in real life. I know there's been rumors of them putting the pit lane down here as they head through turn 4 off towards turn 5. It's pretty much your closest battle on track. For reference, Manning Grinnan and Ernan Vandenberg are still out there. I just want to double check, make sure they haven't done pit stops, and indeed they have not. Make sure they didn't jump a whole bunch of people and I just somehow didn't notice. As right now it really is this little fight out in front. This sort of gaggle of cars is the closest fight on track. Race leader again with 5 laps left. He's going to skip right on past that pit entry. So no pit stops just yet for Mr. Jerome Hag. And I have to say, he's done a fantastic job in terms of the lap times right now. He beat his qualifying lap on the opening lap, 29.476. And the lap times have just sort of stayed down there. Bunch of 29s up and down the field. Let's take a look at Martin Arnoldis and see what sort of laps he's been doing. He's been in the 30s. So not quite having the speed. You see he's going to have to defend here from the 77. Does a good job trying to do so. Able to hold on to that spot. Gabriel Perez not quite being able to pick it up. As Rutger Hegman has done a good job of latching onto the back of this fight, but has not been quite close enough to make anything happen with this. So in towards turn 4. I think a little bit wide was Martin there. Did a good job to hold on to it. Sort of minimize the mistake as they head up through Ferradura for the 14th of 18 trips around this racetrack. And down now through the final sequence of corners. Check back in with Jerome Hag, who, let's see if he has to come down pit road here. He's on the pit entry line. He's going to do it. Jerome Hag, he's going to come down pit road. And we need to keep an eye on this to make sure that he's able to get the pit stop as efficiently as he needs to. So he gets ready to get into the box. Let's check in with Martin and friends. See them, they're buzzing down this long front straightaway, and I think this is going to be a little bit closer than Jerome Hag would like it to be. He stopped in the box, 6 seconds, 7 seconds. He's going to roll away now, but where are Martin and friends going to cycle out? Well, it's not even actually going to be close. I thought it was going to be a lot closer than this. So as Jerome Hag works through turns number 2 and then turn 3 on the pit exit, he's now clear of the Senna S and Curva de Sol. And you'll be able to see in the background in just a moment that fight for second place. As that's it, checking in right there. So that's the gap right now between first and second. That is second, third, and fourth all on screen. I believe that's actually fifth in the background. Yes, it is. So the drivers that are duking it out for your last couple positions up on the podium, still very tight. And of course, Rutger Hegman is still there as well. Not quite close enough to make anything of it yet, but just sort of calmly and coolly sitting there, I think, hoping that the likes of Gabe Perez and Martin Arnoldis try to make something of this. So now through the tight infield section of the racetrack once again. Taking a quick little couple of onboards, looking backwards off Martin Arnoldis. Looking to that number 77 car of Gabriel Perez behind him. Ooh, a little bit loose coming off that curve there for Martin. He sort of caught it a little bit oddly. Didn't seem like the suspension was a big fan of that one. Saw it react a little bit weird, but overall everything's still fine. Good and dandy. Down this long front straightaway, and still Gabriel Perez just not doing much. Actually, no, I take that back. I didn't realize there was a lap car there. Using the slipstream of that lap car to try to make something happen. But for Perez, he needs to find something. Any little bit helps. Been overall a very clean race. We had that little bit of an incident on the opening couple laps, but other than that, no major incidents to really talk about that I've been able to see. Let's take a quick look up and down the field. There's, of course, Jerome Perlberg and Robert Bernenbaugh. We've been seeing these guys fight a couple of times and out in front. Manning Grinnan and Ann Medema, excuse me. Two of them have been very close as they head down in towards turn 4 and 5. Still nothing going just yet for any of these fights. They're pretty much just far enough out that really nothing too heavily contested at the moment. Another scrap here pretty deep down the field. Erwin Vandenberg and Alessandro Rosatello, they're going to be pretty close heading up towards Ferradura. but not quite close enough still. And these guys were separated by not very much at the start-finish line, so I think a change of position may have just happened here between Henry Robert and Christopher Gray. 1/10 of a second separated them at the line, but that's gotten a little bit more spread out. We're going to check back in for the fight for a second as they head down to your front straightaway. 2 laps to go in this Pro Mazda race at Interlagos. And they get past start finish. Gabe Perez is going to take a peek down the inside this time. Will he be deep enough on the brakes? No, I don't think so. Not quite deep enough. So with 2 laps remaining, the 77 car needs to make something happen sooner rather than later. And this is what I mean. You can't really afford to be patient in races like these. It can often pay off to be patient, but sometimes you need to just get on the throttle pedal, and if an opportunity presents itself, go for it. But I think because the 77 was so easy going, an opportunity really hasn't creeped its head. Still in that 4th spot, though, is Rutger Hegman, about 0.8 of a second off the tail end of that 77 car of Gabriel Perez. So he will not likely will not be able to make a move unless these two have a coming together on the final lap or so. So through Beacon de Pato and in towards Mugello for the penultimate time. White flag will wave at the iRacing starter stand this time through. And before they get too far down the front straightaway, Jerome Hag is dealing with a little bit of lap traffic thus far. Pretty much out and clear in front by 7 seconds. Bring up the delta right now, 8 seconds in fact. As he's going to take the white flag right here, right now, as they run towards turn number 1. Just needs to have a calm, cool lap, and he'll be fine. Let's check in for a second. See, they come up over the hill. They're going to be side by side. Gabriel Perez is going to try the long way around once again, and he's got him clear. Excellent move by that 77 of Gabriel Perez. Can Martin Arnoldis make something of this, though? Down through Curva de Sol, going to tuck into the slipstream, and he's got a good run off that 3rd corner. But Gabe Perez is going to make him do it the long way around. To the right-hand side goes Martin Arnoldis. And they head in towards turn 4, in towards the braking zone. Can he sweep around the outside? No, he cannot. Gabriel Perez will hold on to that position for now. Couple of other places you can make the move. Fedora is potentially one as Martin tries to work the cutback and slot up the inside, but Perez doesn't let it happen. A little bit of contact between the two of them. Perez gets sent around, and Martin might have damage. So Gabriel Perez, it all ends in fireworks for him. He's going to get out there and going. He doesn't have race-ending damage, and Martin Arnoldis, he is slow. He might have damage, and because of that, the driver who's going to take the 2nd spot is going to be Rutger Hegman. So unfortunate the way that this has panned out. We'll get a replay of that in a moment. But out in front, it's going to be Jerome Hag, who works himself down this front straightaway for the final time. And he will take a victory here in Interlagos for this Pro Mazda community race. What a fantastic run from Jerome Hag. As Rutger Hegman, he's going to take that 2nd spot. Drone Raidmaker, I think, will technically be 3rd. As with positions getting given back, Gabriel Perez was given the position back by Martin. Of course, he will lose the podium, but good sportsmanship there regardless. Let's take a look at the actual incident itself, because it was not a great angle for it. I think they may have rewound the camera back a little bit too far, but that's okay. And this is them coming to the white flag. So this is the last lap and a half, so you'll get to see the pass in towards turn 1 as well. As you can see, Gabriel Perez, he sweeps to the outside, then goes way wide, because Martin, he sort of tried to defend super tight. And when you do that, you compromise your turn in, and Gabriel, realizing this, swung way out to the outside and sort of took the traditional line. That allowed him to get the overspeed and carry it in towards turn 2s and 3. As they then head down this 2nd stretch here in towards turn 4. And this is where Martin tried to make that move stick. Was unable to do so that time through turn 5. And then turn 6 is the fireworks. Let's see what happened. You're going to see Martin, he tries to get back underneath them. But I think he just outbroke himself. Not exactly. Yeah, he just pretty much, I think Martin... Actually, Gabriel was pretty slow. Not really sure what exactly happened there. Going to get another look at that right on board with Martin. Come to the roll bar. He was off the throttle. Oh, you know what? I think Gabriel Perez, I want to see the inputs, because I think Gabriel Perez actually got a big bite of oversteer on the entry to that corner. That may not have actually been Martin's fault. Let's see. Watch the hands here towards this right-hander. Look at that big bite of counter steer. I want to get another look at that. If you listen closely, you'll hear him hit the curb. You'll see him counter steer to the left when he gets out of the throttle, and I think that's when Martin hit him. There it is right there. I mean, that was just enough to upset him. You're going so fast through that sequence of corners that really there's not much you can do in terms of avoiding action. But overall, it was a good, clean race, and I think even though Martin gave that position back, good sportsmanship to do so, I don't think you really needed to, because I think it was Gabriel's mistake in front of him. But with that, and actually he said the same thing in the chat, so we're going to go down your post-race results here from the Pro Mazdas here at Interlagos. So Jerome Hag takes it comfortably by 11 seconds. Rutger Hegman, he's going to be the beneficiary of the fireworks and come home with a strong second-place finish. Jerome Raidmaker in third. Gabe Perez, Martin Arnoldus, Manning Gridden, and Medema, Jerome and Perlberg, Robert Bernabeu, and Dave Walsh, your top 10. He sits a little bit deeper down the order. Erwin Vandenberg, Alessandro Rosatello, Fabio Berchtold, Henry Robert, Chris Gray, It's Branch Smith, Jim Lakey, John Locke, Craig Ridley, Donald Poole. Those last three drivers all finished a lap down, as well as your 21st runner of Ryan Colin, who finished 2 laps down in this one. So we're going to take a short little break here, streaming live on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live, see if anyone turns up for interviews, and if not, we will be out of here. So thank you for tuning in. Do not go away. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMeritt at the line.
Well, welcome back here. Unfortunately, we have not been joined by any drivers to do any interviews, but I wanted to just pop back in and say thank you all for tuning in, and thank you for spending a little part of your Saturday with myself here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. If you're not done watching iRacing content just yet, well, RaceSpot's weekend pretty much comes at an end right now. V8 Super Truck Series, I believe, is still happening. You can catch Paul Smith and Justin Prince. They're the people who are covering that one right now. But also huge shout outs to the guys in the Pro Mazda community who ended up putting this on. There's only a couple communities that are quite as tight knit as the guys in the Pro Mazda cars. You know, the Camel guys are pretty tight knit as well. They've had some broadcasts put on. I believe the iRacing Grand Prix series has done similar things as well, and it's always good to see a tight knit community come out and put their races streamed live on whatever broadcaster you do of your choice. For that said, thank you, like I said, for tuning in. So we got a big week coming up. Got things like the next round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. That will be taking part at Road America. So join them at Elkhart Lake. That's going to be April the 28th, 1:30 GMT. Going to have the Major Series next week. Dirt Night, of course, comes back. You have the 5th round of the NASCAR PK Free Series from Richmond. That's going to be on Tuesday at 1 a.m. That will technically be Wednesday morning, so it'll be the 24th, actually the night before that, because GMT times and, you know, U.S. time zones are a little bit weird. But you can join Evan Pasoko, Tim Terry, myself, Hugo Louis, bring you all the action on that one as well. That's coming at you on Tuesday. Been a fantastic championship thus far. But huge shout out to everyone who makes these broadcasts possible. Estevan Ballo from Track Cams, Andy Werner, Simon Grossman, and Nick Tisson. And of course, huge shout outs to Randy Chineth in the commentary booth and Randy Chineth in the production trailer. It's been a solo show for me on this one, but thanks for tuning in. Look to see you guys next time. And until next time, stay safe.